What is the dumbest thing you've ever heard? I suggest you write in the comments what's the stupidest thing you've ever heard in your life. Have fun watching. Story 1. Worked at an Italian restaurant and had a fellow server ask me which button on the soda gun was the chocolate milk. I was shocked as she was older than me at the time, probably a 17 or 18-year-old girl, and believed wholeheartedly that chocolate milk was stored in a cardboard box in the basement of the restaurant. Story 2. If a man would suck another man's dick, he is gay, even if he is with a woman dead ass. My friend basically said he doesn't believe in bisexuality, which I am. He even said I'm a lesbian since I have done things with women. I'm currently engaged with a man BTW. It makes no sense. To him it's either gay/lesbian/straight, I swear. Story 3. Was one of the heads of our hospital's COVID task force and heard plenty of crazy shit from people, but the one that really takes the cake is one I have not heard anywhere else. I had a patient tell me that he heard the vaccines make people glow. I said I had not heard that one yet and asked him the particulars of it. Basically, the vaccines make people glow under a special filter for a specific spectrum of light, and they are able to point the Hubble Space Telescope down to Earth and basically pinpoint who has been vaccinated and who has not. But because of the resolution of the Hubble, it cannot separate people unless they are at least 6 feet apart, and that is why the whole social distancing thing came into play. I asked him what the point of that would be, and his response was, well, you know, the government has their reasons, more or less. Story 4. Anything and everything about so-called trickle-down economics. Let me get this straight. So-called job creators are just waiting for a bundle of money, usually from the government, but it's not welfare, it's less taxes or weaker regulations or some other incentive. They're waiting for this extra money to come in so they can golden shower it on the rest of the non-job creators in their vicinity. This includes employees, local investments, charity, etc. However, without this wad of money, probably in a cartoonish bag with a dollar sign on it, they cannot contribute anything and can only focus on making profits. They may even have to close down, okay? I went to school for long enough to earn an MBA, but I must have skipped this class. Luckily, we know it doesn't work because here in the US, we've tried many of these ideas several times. Unfortunately, it's hard to convince dumb people to stop doing dumb things. Story 5. I worked in energy for over a decade. After completion of parts of the generator, we do what's called a lights out test. Basically, you turn all the lights off, people stand inside the 30-feet diameter rotor, in this case, and run a shit ton of electricity through it. The goal is to see if there are any hot spots or sparks indicating poor insulation. Well, me and a coworker saw sparks. So when we turned the lights back on, I said, hey, we saw light coming from this area over here. An engineer runs over to us and asks, was it visible light? And look, I am a scientist, so I know most wavelengths of light aren't visible to the human eye. But based on the circumstances and the fact that I just said we saw light, it was absolutely the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Story 6. I donated blood for the first time about 20 years ago. I shared a mailbox with some friends. We lived in the mountains with no home delivery, and one of my girlfriends opened my mail from the blood bank place, she said, because if they found something bad, she wanted to be able to tell me and not find out in a letter. She continued by saying, don't worry, they loved your blood, you got an A+. I had to tell her that's my blood type, and not a grade on quality. Story 7. First date with a gal, we're at lunch and talking about this and that, and somehow the issue of the Civil War came up. For reference, we are both white Americans. She seemed confused, so I tried to jog her memory by saying, you know, the war between the states that ended slavery? Her, slavery? Me, yeah, like when black people were enslaved by white people? Her, oh, right. Yeah, I think I heard something about that. There wasn't a second date. Story 8. I'm super late to the party, but an old classmate of mine one time told me that climate change wasn't real. When I asked why, she said, scientists are lying about the polar bears drowning. Polar bears can't drown, they're covered in fur. I really pressed her to figure out if she actually believed that fur prevented drowning. She was absolutely convinced that animals covered in fur just bobbed around like corks on the water. Therefore, scientists are liars. Story 9. I work in the trades, and we had this new kid working with us. He talked so much shit about how he worked with his dad, and how he's so experienced and qualified even though he didn't go to school, etc. We were shooting the shit one day, and he starts telling a story about how he went to a customer's house for a service call, and instead of paying him for the job, the woman apparently slept with him right there, and he stayed the night. We all laughed. It's obvious this kid watches too much porn. He only worked for 2 weeks because he broke his wrist on a drill that apparently he has years' experience on. Never saw him again, Lamau. Story 10. When I was in high school, my junior year to be exact, a girl in my English class made the statement, Christian is a state, and German is a religion. This wasn't part of some kind of agenda or had some kind of hidden meaning. She meant it literally and was absolutely sure of what she was saying. To clarify, when she was saying that Christian is a state, she was claiming that it was part of the United States of America. The entire room took their turns trying to convince her and tell her otherwise. She left that room with the same understanding, saying we are just wrong. Story 11. Back to back. My dad told me that Canada was doing worse things than North Korea because of legal abortions, that Canada was on the same trajectory as Nazi Germany because of COVID measures, because making us wear masks was the same as Jews being forced to wear the Star of David in Nazi Germany. Not only were these some of the stupidest things I've ever heard someone say, it was profoundly disgusting and offensive. Story 12. Gettysburg, what an unbelievable battle that was. The Battle of Gettysburg. It was so much and so interesting and so vicious and horrible and so beautiful in so many different ways. It represented such a big portion of the success of this country. Gettysburg, wow. Go to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, to look and to watch. And the statement of Robert E. Lee, who's no longer in favor, did you ever notice that? No longer in favor, never fight uphill, me boys, never fight uphill. They were fighting uphill. He said, wow, that was a big mistake. He lost his great general and they were fighting. Never fight uphill, me boys. But it was too late. Story 13. No matter how many books you read asterisk, no matter how much you think you know, I will always know more than you asterisk asterisk. My American, Republican dad to me, during an argument over politics and worldview and climate change, this past summer, so despite never reading books, only watching Fox News and working for 40 years in one defense contracting job doing one thing in one very brain-drained small town, he will always know more than me despite how much I may ever gain through my active and intentional pursuits of knowledge. Oh fucking K, big guy. Asterisk nonfiction, mostly history. Because I'm 25 years older, implied earlier in rant. Story 14. My dad. Abortion is murder. Me, like shooting a baby in the head? Exactly. Why? Because its only hope at life is through the mother. It can't protect itself. The mother's choice is taking its life away, like a murderer. Are you an organ donor? Would you be an organ donor? No, I don't believe in that. I'd like to be all in one piece just the way God made me. Okay, what about in life? Are you going to donate something extra from your body to keep a helpless kid from dying? You know they're dying right now, right? There's never enough. Anything you give from your body will allow the possibility of life where it previously wasn't. That's your choice. Of course, there's potential medical risks to you and everyone that does that. Just like anything, are you? Or are you going to continue to choose not to take that medical risk and pain to yourself for another innocent human life? I don't think I'm in a great position to be making those medical risks for other people, but honestly, I never even considered it. Why? You believe you should have the medical bodily autonomy, as an individual, to decide that for yourself, even though you don't get to choose that there are kids dying right now that could be saved by your marrow? Is that medical autonomy you hold, deciding to take away their life? Isn't that like someone choosing with their own free will to kill someone? No, the death is very unfortunate, and I'm all for helping advances to prevent similar in the future, but I do not think that is like murder at all. Side point. Do you think all fetuses are actually viable for life? And do you think all pregnancies are possible to survive as a mother? I understand we run into medical issues, but son, Jesus was born of a virgin. I mean, come on. Amazing things can happen through prayer. Faith is an incredible thing. All right. Story 15. I was working, and we had a new fire alarm system installed in the building. We were told what to do when certain things occurred, and provided written instructions which we kept in a red binder on a certain shelf. The alarm goes off, and so I grab the binder and follow the instructions and problem solve. Then I get the complaint from my coworker who went through the same training, and she says I responded too quickly. I guess I was supposed to wait long enough for her to figure out what was going on, what to do before I jump in and solve it. We were both in the same role, but she was much older than me, so she liked to think that gave her seniority. I don't know. Story 16. I've heard a lot of dumb things, probably even dumber than the thing I'm going to share, but this particular thing is just so dumb that I was really bothered by it for days. Someone was selling a Home Depot gift card on Marketplace. The description said it was a $100 gift card to Home Depot. The person wanted cash, and the value of gift cards traditionally is about 60–70% of the gift card. I messaged the person to ask how much they wanted for it because it wasn't clear in the listing. They said $100. I said no. How much do you want for it, not what is its value? They said they want $100, and they are tired of people telling them it's only worth $60, $70 because they see people selling things for what they paid for them all the time on Marketplace. So why is the gift card different? I made one attempt to explain that I could buy a $100 Home Depot gift card online without having to leave my house if I wanted to, and she expects me to drive however far to buy one from her without any discount to it. Gas isn't free, and I had no interest in doing that. Heck, I can actually make a small amount of money by buying a $100 gift card online through my local grocery chain because it would give me 400 fuel points, which would give me 40 cents off per gallon, which would actually save me money. She could not for the life of her understand why asking $100 for the gift card was not going to result in any interest in it for her. Sure, if you have a family member or friend that is willing to help you out and pay the exact value because they are going to go spend that money anyway, then you might get lucky. No stranger is going to pay $100 for it. Hell, I wouldn't pay $95 for it even if she brought it to me and put it in my hand because I still wouldn't want the risk of something being an issue with it for $5. Anyway, just wanted to share. I was dumbfounded. Story 17. Someone I know while looking at FB. Oh wow, they found mermaid bones in Norway. Other gems, she has said. Drinking a glass of lemon water every morning melts away fat. Plucking one gray hair doubles regrowth of gray hair. Dark-haired people sweat more than blondes. Eating yogurt will cure bacterial infections. Using moisturizer stops your skin from making sebum. I'm not my mistakes. After 2 total car wreck DUIs and 1 car wreck semi-related to alcohol. And she didn't vote for a political candidate because she didn't like the sound of her voice. I could go on. Story 18. My ex-husband is ordered to pay me child support alimony through automatic transfer by the 5th of each month. He changed banks during the divorce, and he would have to pay a fee to wire me that amount since he can only transfer half of it. Told me if I wanted my money, I would have to bank where he does, so he could do an internal transfer. In what world does the ex-husband tell the mom where she has to bank to receive child support? Story 19. Was talking to the CEO of a billion-dollar security tech company, friend of a friend, who was complaining how people using sign language during programmed events was just an excuse for mind control since they could just use subtitles. This was immediately after I had finished a course in deaf culture studies and I was livid. I did correct him. For anyone interested, sign language is often the better choice because many deaf individuals don't have a high proficient in reading English and the median reading level is around 4th to 6th grade. The syntax of written English is so different than American Sign Language, ASL. It's difficult to accommodate it as a second language because you have to understand a whole new way of thinking with extra words that just don't exist in ASL. Trying to keep up with live subtitles when your reading skills are at a 4th grade level is difficult. Story 20. I had a Psychology 101 professor in college that was a feminist. She said that the only reason planes, skyscraper, and anything else that was phallic in design was only designed that way because of the patriarchy. She also thought that one of the most popular places for couples to have sex was on the toilet. The class tried to tell her that the paper most likely meant having sex in a bathroom, but she was like, no, literally on a toilet. Story 21. People believing that liberal teachers were being so inclusive to a child's stated identity that there were actual litter boxes in school restrooms to accommodate kids that felt as though they were animals. Like, how far gone do you have to be to not understand that this is a jokey joke about, yeah, I bet they would, ha ha ha, I hate them libs, and not like an actual thing? How does that work, logistically? Some janitor is scooping the human waste between every class? Every human carries a phone now. Do they not find it curious that there hasn't been a picture or a video of this litter box yet? Just how actually stupid do you have to be to repeat this as gospel truth? This man was an accountant, and of course his boss told him it was true because his boss's daughter works at the school in next city over. Story 22. All from these were from the same freshman kid when I was a senior in high school. Well, if you're having trouble learning Spanish, why don't you just hire a Chinese guy to teach it for you? They're the same thing. Well, if you're having trouble doing your homework, why don't you just hire a Mexican to do it for you? Bro, why do I need to learn any of this when it's not even my culture? He was supposed to do a required history class assignment. Why can't I make fun of him? He doesn't even care, after he was scolded by 2 teachers for insulting me out loud in the middle of class. Why is it wrong to assume Japanese people are aliens when they have weird-looking eyes? I swear they literally look like aliens. Why is it wrong to assume they aren't normal people? Why should I respect Jews when they don't even believe in God or eat pork? They're the worst people ever, worse than the presidents. They're going to burn in hell for not believing in my God, Jesus Christ. Why should I treat people outside of America as normal people when I didn't even grow up with them in the first place? To me, they aren't normal people. Why do I need to write about a nice thing I did for someone? Who's actually nice to other people? That's just weird. Why should it be my fault if people get upset about what I say to them? Freedom of speech. Can't I say what I want? It's their fault if they get offended. What's wrong with assuming Muslims are terrorists when South Park literally said they are? Story 23. I know a grown woman who thinks she's allergic to oranges because I get this weird allergic reaction on my hands whenever I peel them, like an eczema. When we tried to point out that it was probably just the orange juice drying and it happens to everyone, her response was simply, "No, but it's odd. It goes away after a while, or if I wash." I also have a cousin that has so many dumb moments, but I'll mention my favorites. She was fascinated by the fact that the water glass with waves in the bottom didn't make it so that there were waves on the water surface. When playing a card game with my sister, our cousin wanted to play a game that only works for 3+ players. My sister tried to explain to her that it wouldn't work since all cards are split equally between them, but she insisted. They played it, and the cousin got more and more frustrated by my sister's knowledge of what cards she had on her hand. My sister and cousin were in a car accident. During the cleanup after, they found my sister's jacket under the car wreck. It must have flown out of a window during it all. My sister joked that lucky I wasn't wearing it at the time, and our cousin was so sincerely relieved that she hadn't because you would have been dead now. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, like it. Be sure to write comments and share your stories.